Live. Okay, wait for the prompters to clap. Yes. Okay, let's see if we're. Yeah, we've got good tone. Sorry, I'm in Independence Day person. Okay, all right. We ready? Okay, we're all here. Let me get started. Okay, welcome to our fall masterclass. Whoa, wow, went back 5-6 months. Welcome to our fall masterclass. We're very, very privileged to have Ashton Coulam with us. And say hi, Alice.
Hi.
Yeah. So I have to say that I think Alice, sorry, there are redheads here, but I really am biased. Alice and I went to school together, and I think she has the most beautiful red hair I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Well, now I pay a lot to help look good.
Alice has a very good sense of humor.
Yes,
she has, and I'm sure you will see that in action today. But she is a consummate musician. She plays professionally. But she gigs around. She plays with all the orchestras. She has been doing this her whole life. I mean, I cannot be able to tell you everything that she does. And she's a mom. How many kids now?
4.
It's up to 4? I'm sorry, I lost track.
Well, you don't have to keep track.
I try to keep track. I do. 4 children. We are very privileged to have her with us and to have her work with everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And we will, and I think, Kaylee, you were beginning, right? So go ahead and come on up, Kaylee. We're privileged to have Jane Galloway with us. Yay, That was so weird, this thing.
What are you playing for us today?
Oh, sorry. That's okay. I'm playing Meditation from Thais by Julius Mansteman.
Oh, great. Perfect. You have a lovely sound, and you have a really, really good foundation in this piece. How long have you been working on this?
Off and on.
Off and on. I started it in June, and
Okay.
then I played it for about a month and a half, and then I pulled it up for this.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. Sorry, I feel super dorky, but hi. Okay, look, I handle stress and tension with joking around. Okay, so for those of you that don't like to be teased, I'm sorry. It's just how I deal with life. Ask Jeremy. He was my stand partner for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is really, really beautiful. Okay, you have a very good foundation and a really good start. Now, there's a few things that came to my mind as you were playing. First of all, this piece, meditation, what this type of piece is, right? Would you consider it to be a more lyrical piece or a more energy style piece? Lyrical, right? And so this is what's really important. Whenever I think of this piece, I think more of an opera than I do of actually playing the violin, right? So I think about what that entails. Have you ever been to an opera before or seen an opera? Well, operas are really great because they're super dramatic and lots of singing and lots of dialogue through voice. And they tend to have really big highs and really low lows, but everything is about expressing through the voice, right? And through the body, through acting and expressing and through music. So as you played, there was one wonderful thought that came to my mind. How much do you love your metronome? Like a lot, a little, or not at all?
I like using it because it helps me keep up beat, but
Okay.
I also don't love it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Now, I always say to my students, the metronome is the best friend that you love to hate because it's the one friend that you have that always keeps you honest, no matter what. It's like you just want to go do something that you're not supposed to do, and you have that friend that's like, we really shouldn't. That's not going to be the best idea, right? And you're like, oh, I know, I can't do it. Fine, I won't do it. And it's super annoying, but you just have to do it because you know it's the right thing to do. This is the metronome, okay? Now, the metronome is super important for that very reason, is that it really helps us establish a ground layer. You always have to think about music as layers, right? And what's the most important layer in anything that you learn? What's the most important thing when it comes to learning a song? What's the first thing that you have to be able to know? Even before rhythm, what would you have to know? You have to know the notes, right? Then comes the rhythm. And then what would come after that, do you think? Ooh, even before bowing. It kind of relates to rhythm. Tempo, right? You got to know the speed. So you think, okay, if I've laid my foundation of getting to know a piece, I've got to know my notes, which includes shifts. I have to know my rhythms. I've got to know my tempo, right? Those are like the three most important things. Then after that, yeah, we need to know our bowings, right? Then we need to know our dynamics. And then we need to know all the musical markings and what they all mean. That's all. I always list that in order of importance, right? When I'm trying to get a student ready for a performance, I'm like, this is the order of importance, at least when it comes to laying and building a good foundational piece. So rhythm affects a lot of things, especially when you're playing a piece that's very lyrical, because there's a lot of nuance in a piece like this, right? Where you can take your time and you can move it forward. But if the rhythm isn't very consistent and steady, then that taking your time and moving it forward doesn't quite fit. Does that make sense? So Jane, I'd like Jane to just play the first 5 measures. And I want you to listen to the piano part, okay? Jane. This is the essence of the piece, okay, for the piano. And it just changes, but it's the same. So she's actually setting a really great metronomical foundation for you. But the downside is that you have to support her as well, making sure that it continually moves forward. Does that make sense? So let's have you start again. Will you start again? Start right where you come in. So Jane, come in at measure 3. Good. Now we're going to start right there. Now, Jane's being a really good accompanist. Jane, I don't want you to be such a good accompanist. I want you to not. I don't want you to follow her nuances. So Jane's going to be your metronome, okay? And I want you to see what happens if Jane chooses not to follow you as well as she's following you, okay? Okay, let's try this. Good. So do you notice what's happening? She's just going and going. But what she's helping, okay, and this is actually really excellent practice. Lots of times when I have practicing this piece with students, I'm like, look, I'm not going to follow you. You've got to see if you can keep this tempo and keep it the same. This is what keeps us honest, right? So let's try this again, okay? And then let's see what happens when we have to actually see how the triplet fits into the piece, right? So I don't want to get too nitty-gritty details. I don't know. Jeremy, just say Shug, tone it down. My nickname, by the way, is Sugar. It's been my name my entire life. It's not some weird name. My father was in the Utah Symphony for 50 years, and I was born an hour before he had to go play for the Nutcracker Ballet. And so I was named Sugar Plum after the Sugar Plum Fairy. So it's been my name my whole life, so it's not weird if you call me Sugar. Like, I'm not going to be like, why are you calling me that?
Bring it, Alice.
Okay, so let's try this. Now, Jane, if I play this with Jane, we have to see how we've got to stay steady with her, okay? If we don't, then we're not going to help Jane, and we're not actually going to help the piece. Because think about, this is what I want you to think about this piece. You have types of pieces where Bach, okay, if you played Bach, let's say you were playing, I don't know, something by Bach. I don't want to just... he's very vertically minded. So what his idea is if you keep the tempo and you keep going, I'm going to make it musical. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 versus this horizontal motion of this piece. This is a very horizontally laid out piece, which means you don't use every beat to create the music. You use the phrase to create the music, okay? So understanding where the phrase goes is going to help you more than anything, okay? So for instance, this beginning right here, Jane, start with me on the 3rd measure. So is this going to make it really loud?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll find out. So, ready? So I don't know if that helped at all. Probably didn't. But what I was trying to create was this line, right? Starting from where I started and not allowing the rhythm to interrupt what I was trying to do. I have to make the rhythm work for my phrase. Does that make sense? So in your mind, when you're playing this, do you have a good steady beat? What's your good steady beat? Good. And so let's come up with a good rhythm that we come up like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So how does the triplet fit into that? So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and right when you come to that. So will you try that for me one time? Let's see. Let's try it together. Can we try it together? Ready? And oh, sorry, Jane, you get to be with us. Ready? Oh my gosh, really? That was like so fast. Dang. Okay, well, let's cut to the chase here. So this is what I think is the best. Remind me of your name again, Elise. Oh, good, Kaylee. I'm really bad at names, and I usually make up names. Like, hey, Bob, how are you? And they're like, my name's not Bob, but it's just what I do. Kaylee. It's in my old age. Okay, Kaylee. So what I suggest, okay, remember, the most important foundation that you can build for yourself as a musician is the 3 layers. What are the 3 layers? Oh, what comes very first? First layer of learning. Oh, no. First layer of learning anything. What do you have to learn first? Notes, then what? Rhythm, then tempo, right? If you lay this foundation in every piece you learn, okay? So what I would do is I hate to divert, like, I don't know. I have to learn to center my thinking. This is really like a pressure thing. So you have to realize if you can lay this good foundation, and this is all this piece really needs. It just needs a solid rhythmic foundation because then the music can build itself. Does that make sense? And so really playing it with the metronome and forcing yourself to play through the whole thing at one speed. Once you can play the whole thing at one tempo really well, then that's when you can start saying, okay, I'm going to slow down right here, or I'm going to move here. And then Jeremy, you say, Jeremy, how am I going to build the phrase? And then Jeremy will show you with his dramatic effect. He's really good at dramatic effect. And he'll say, this is the musical passion that you have, okay? And so he'll show you how to build that musically, which is wonderful. If you're not sure how to do that by yourself, does that make sense? That's one of Jeremy's amazing abilities. Is Jeremy is the king of like soul when it comes to music. It's just like it exudes from his whole being, okay? And so sometimes you have to tame it a little bit, but it's really good. And so the great thing is that he can teach that to you more than anybody. But in order for him to teach you that, you have to have the 3 layers. Does that make sense? So I would say to solve the problem of this piece, how would you solve the problem? What's the main problem with this piece? Get the rhythm, okay? Is that normal? Yes. Who has issues with rhythm? Raise your hand. We all do, okay? Are we embarrassed about that? No. Is it a reality? Yes. That's life. It's okay, okay? So, but I thought, aside from that, I think if you could solve that one problem, you'd have this in the bag. And it'd be so great, okay? Because the only problem is it's not helping us create this linear phrase, right? That just goes from here to there. Not horizontal, it's horizontal, I'm sorry. It's not vertical, okay? And so we want to create this type of playing. Yeah? Okay. You were great. Thank you.
Do the full pirouette.
Jeremy, how much do I have? How much do we
Yeah,
like 10
20
minutes?
each.
That was 20 minutes of me talking.
No.
Oh, good.
15.
Oh, phew.
Yeah,
Okay.
because she plays. That's why.
Great. Okay.
Here it goes. By the way, I have toned it down.
You
So,
have?
oh, I'm tame. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I play with still tons of passion, but not to the point where I went overboard a lot when I was in college with her.
Like Jeremy, like slow down. But that's just the nuance of the relationship, right?
Yes. That was an interesting time for me. Let's just say that.
That's great, Jeremy.
My name's Emily. I'll be playing Lafolia by M. Marius. Maurice.
Emily, you're Emily. Okay.
more focused. So, I tend to do better. Emily, it was very nice, very, very beautiful. Okay, I love Foley is always a really fun one. Okay, so let's talk bow with chords. Okay, how do you usually practice approaching a chord with your bow? Do you have any kind of method, or do you just play it?
With 2 strings at a time.
Okay, and show me how you would do that slowly.
I'm sorry, which one do you want?
Anyone, any 4-note chord, you pick your favorite one. Yeah, okay. So now, when you think about your arm, let's go. Let's delve into a little bit more, okay? Bow arm, let's just talk, okay? So when we move our bow arm, right, I just want you to do something, grab your bow, sorry. Will you just swing your arm for me for a minute? Swing it naturally. Okay, now where does the motion of our swing come from? And our bow arm. Are you sure? No, it's not. If I'm swinging my arm, where do I always have to start from? The shoulder, in the back, right? So this is what I always call the engine. Here's your engine, okay? Look, this has to move everything. What happens if you have a car and you take the engine out and you set it on the grass? Are you gonna go anywhere? You're not gonna go anywhere. That car is just gonna be really sitting there, okay? So this is what Hi, you can have that. This is what I always say about a chord. First of all, you have to move the engine, okay? The engine has to help you move. Look, when we move our arm naturally, this is how we naturally swing our arm, right? We always swing from the shoulder. It's not often that you see people doing this. And if you do, you're often like, okay, like, all right, okay? So you just think that's not as natural. So the idea is when we move the arm, we always move from the shoulder, okay? Now, think about the motion. Is this an up motion or a side motion? Try it. Swing in front of you like you have the viola in front of you. Do I lift when I swing, or do I just keep my shoulder relaxed? You keep it relaxed. So if you engage your upper arm, when you're playing a chord, you're gonna have a great chord every time, okay? Now, this is another word that I always use for chords. Yes, it's awesome. You should always divide the chord into 2 notes, right? Or a 3-note chord, you should divide it into 2. But you have to be even with your bow. And when you practice that, you always have to practice an even bow split, right? So I always say the hi-ya bow, because you're like hi-ya. You're finishing up the bow, right? So like, right? So that's how you're going to divide it. Or if it's a 3, right? So, but when I move, if I don't move from my shoulder, then I'm not going to be able to execute the full length of the bow and use my full amount of sound. Does that make sense? Okay, try this for me. Pick a chord, any chord, and just play a 4-note chord, and I'm going to help you a little bit. I'm a toucher, not an inappropriate toucher, but I'm like an arm or something. That was weird. I won't say it like that. Okay, all right. So I feel awkward. Now relax that, and you're going to pull right there. Now I want you to move from here always. Okay, not this. I don't want you to do this. Watch. You're going to push my arm back. No, you gotta push my hand back. Yeah, and then finish the second half with the lower part of your arm. Yeah, so try that again. That's perfect. Beautiful. You can do it without any notes. You can just do open. Okay, push my hand back. Now, yeah, again. Try that again. Good. Now, as you go down, though, instead of keeping the elbow up and finishing, go down. Go down this way. Because look, when we swing our arm, we do not swing our arm like this, right? That's kind of awkward, yeah? Instead, we just swing it, relax, down. So try this one more time. Relax that down as you pull, so watch. No, keep the body up this way. Let me help you. Down. Yeah, do you feel how different that feels? Try that one more time. Okay, now try that by yourself. Yeah, no, you better just make sure when you pull a little bit farther back. One more time. Yeah, instead of straight like this, just like that. Okay? Yeah, that elbow does not want to relax. Hi, elbow, relax. Relax. Very nice. So when you practice chords, this is what I would do if it were me. Okay, I would go to the chord, and I'm gonna pretend I have my viola, but I don't. So it's gonna sound really, really cool. Okay. Sorry. Did you see how I did that? So I always, and I do a whole layer of that, just high, ya, then straight, back, okay? Only because if you can solve the problem of the chord, every chord will be awesome. And then when you have to do like fast chords like, or you'll always get a really great sound out of it, okay? But before you play a chord, there's one thing you should always do with your bow. Before you do anything when it comes to a chord, what should you do with your bow? Guess. Because I love it when people guess out of thin air. You set, right? You gotta set that bow. How would it be if yeah, you'd be like, yikes, okay? So it'd be more like Halloween. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're showing love to people. No pain, okay? So, set. Try that for me really quick with the 3-note chord. So you pull hi-ya a little bit. It doesn't matter what the notes are. You could even just do opens. I'm just doing notes because I feel like I have to sound professional. Okay, ready? Yep. Set, pull. Always hit 2. Awesome. Okay. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is when it comes to practicing double stops, how do you approach practicing double stops? Oh, good. Okay, so anytime I practice double stop or I have a student practice double stop, I have like a method of madness, okay? I always start because the note that has to be in tune first is what? The highest note or the lowest? Anyone? The lowest, right? Because it's the bass. You have to tune, your ear tunes to the bass. So you tune the lowest note first, and then you tune the top. So with any piece that I have with double stops, several double stops, I'll make a student, like, I make students practice it this way, where they go bottom. Let's say my 2 notes are this. That's my double stop. I do bottom, then together, bottom, together, and then now, why do you think this might be a helpful thing to do? Yeah. And you're giving each double stop its individual attention to really tune it with the ear, right? So let's just try this at the beginning. So let's see, where do you have all those double stops? You have chords, but didn't you have some of more just double stops? Oh, no. Well, I don't know what to do there, but we could try it. So try it this way, and just try the 2 bottom notes, okay? So try the bottom note, play the bottom, you play, so if you had a pencil, I could write, it's like bottom note alone, double stop, bottom note alone, and then you repeat it, okay? Try that. Nice, long, full sounds. You need to relax here, relax. Okay, well, every time I see you play, I want to relax you. Relax. Okay, there. Ready? Yeah, but find the note first. Listen. You never add the top unless it's with the bottom. That's the super important rule. Try it. Good. Yeah. And you can tune in. So you fix the 2 a little bit higher, right? So the more more you get used to practicing this idea, actually, the better it gets because you get more comfortable. And you have to realize when it comes to tuning double stops especially, the ear needs a lot of noise and it needs continuous noise. It's just like if you're talking, no. It's like a reset for the brain, right? The minute you stop the sound, your brain has to reset. And so you always want to have this continuous. Why I have students repeat it is so that they can do one time to kind of mess it up and fix the top note, and then the second time they can do it just great, and then they can hear it. Does that make sense? This is my suggestion for chords and double stops, because really we all have to face chords and we all have to face double stops. So what's the takeaway? We'll take those two takeaways. So with chords, first thing that we have to do whenever you play a chord, what do you do with the bow? You set the bow. And then remember the idea of hi-ya, always hi-ya. That way you're going to use the whole arm. Because if you think half, half, that's why hi-ya is so great. It's like half, half, right? It's a good idea. So then you do that when you do chords. If you do that, then your chords you'll have control of them. You'll have control of the sound. You'll have control of how much you want to make it or how little. And that, it's a fail-proof solution to a problem. I promise that. And then double stops, the takeaway. Remember, you should make a layer of practicing double stops and chords where you always tune the bottom note, find the bottom note, and then you tune the top note to the bottom note every time, right? If you do that, I think it will just, it's just great practice advice. Yeah? So, you were wonderful, Emily. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Good. I need to take out my earring.
Actually, it sounds great.
Oh,
That's it. You've been turning it off.
no. Should I? Sorry.
Nope. That's excellent. Okay, we're good. You do whatever the heck you want. You're doing awesome.
I'm playing, I just forgot the name right as I was saying it. Concerto number 2, second movement by Miyazuki, the Romance.
Yay. But can I know your name?
Oh, Emmy.
Emma?
Emmy.
Emmy. Emily. Emmy.
Yeah.
That was lovely. I mean, very lovely. Okay, you have a beautiful vibrato.
Thank you.
Very good. You're grounded. I love this piece. Jane, I think you might have played this, maybe not. I don't know. I love this piece. I played a lot, but it's just one of my favorites. It's so dramatic, but it's just so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so something to think about when you're playing this. We have to think about how we connect sound with our string. Now, I don't necessarily mean like, how do you make your bow work? I mean, like, what type of a sound are you trying to create, and what is the contact you want with your string when you're creating this sound, okay? So when we think of a piece like this, where it's this beautiful romance, and it's very beautiful, but it's very romantic, and it's really rich, and it's really lush, and it's just a lot of giving, yeah? Tchaikovsky was a giver. He makes you work really hard, and he makes you constantly give in order to make his music sound beautiful. Or else he just makes it super hard to where you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? But this piece is a giving piece. It's a wonderfully giving piece. When I hear this piece, a couple of things come to mind, okay? Is how the bow is being used. So I want you to think about contact, okay? When you think about touching something with the string, is the contact, think about, okay, playing into something and playing on top of a string. So what's the difference of playing into the string and playing on top of the string? How would you describe the differences between the two?
Playing onto the string is, I just feel like, very one toned and one dynamic. And playing into the string is actually feeling the music as you're playing it.
Okay, so it can help build feeling, right? And then also, how can it affect sound? So if I were to just play on top of the string, like so I'm really over exaggerating playing on top of the string, but there's an up feeling, right? So I always want you to think about, like, how are you gliding on the string? Are you gliding on top of the string? Or are you actually trying to kind of push into the string to where you have this, it's like a heavy tread, right? So this idea of, or you could have like intense, right? So for this piece, what do you think? Are we going to be right on top of the string? Are we going to be slightly into the string, or are we really cushion into the string?
I feel like slightly into it.
Yeah, this whole piece I don't think ever plays on top of the string. If anything, it just requires constant work with your shoulder and arm to produce weight, right? Because if we go with the concept that we talked about with the shoulder being the engine, right? And if the engine has to work, and if I have to move from the engine and I have to produce sound from the engine, think of an engine. Is an engine really light or heavy? Heavy, right? Another thing is this took me years and years to figure out, but if you think of your arm as a waterfall, do you remember this analogy, the waterfall with Vesna?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It took me actually until this year to figure out what she was talking about, and I finally figured it out. If you have a waterfall, think about water going down a waterfall. What happens to the water as it gets closer to the fall? First of all, what is a waterfall? It's water falling off a cliff, right? Just a cute river going down, all of a sudden, cliff. What happens to the water as it gets closer to the cliff? What happens to the speed of the water? Speeds up. Because why?
Gravity.
Yeah, gravity, right? All of a sudden pushing, weights pushing, pulling, and then it gets to the fall and it crashes. Okay, if we think of our arm as being this waterfall, okay, so you have this beautiful waterfall going down, and you have this, and if your bow is the cliff and your knuckles are where the water meets the fall, then you use the first finger, the fingers actually help initiate the creation of the weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as you fall into the string, you can create as much weight or as little weight as you want. So this is something that's important, but what happens if I break my fall? Or what if I go like this with my elbow? Can I sustain the weight? No. Why? What happens to the weight?
It gets distributed wrong.
Yeah, it's like jutting out this way. And okay, so we have to think about how we're really pushing the weight into our string when we play. This piece, I think that's all I think about is, what is the sound coming out for this piece? Because it just requires a consistent sound. And that is what we're looking for in this, okay? So I want you to put your bow on the string and I want you to start playing this, okay? Now, as you play, I want you to think about your engine here. Sorry, I'm a toucher. Don't worry. I don't. Yeah. Okay. You relax and you relax. So when you think about, if you think about the waterfall going down and straight down into that first finger, okay? Now everything has to move from the engine. Here's what I'm noticing as you play. So do a good down bow for me and then do an up bow. Do the first measure for me. Yeah, that was nice. Okay, good. Do it again. Now do it comfortably. Don't act like nobody's here. Okay, now do you notice what happens when you go up bow?
No.
Okay, I'm going to show you. Put your bow up. Okay, I'm going to over exaggerate it for you. So go down. So you're lovely down. Okay.
Keep going.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See that? I'm pushing you up.
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm pushing you up? Because that's where your gravity wants to go. Wants to go up. Now, I want you instead, this is what I want you to do. Put your ball on the string. You're going to play. Relax down. Go straight down. Yep. Now, as you go up, go up. Okay, now I did an opposite thing. What did I do to your elbow as you went up bow? I dropped it, okay? Now, I want you to try that one more time. Can you hear better now? Good, and I want you to meet your frog. This is your beautiful frog. It loves you. You have a love-hate relationship with it. You're like, I'm not talking to you today, ever. So let's not get here. Let's get here. Try one more time. Relax, drop. Good. This is good. Remember, engine. So everything has to move from the engine. Relax. Good. Okay, now, that was beautiful the way you did that. Now, as you go up, this is what I want you to think. As you bend the elbow, I want your hand to like squish into the bow. Okay? So try. Right here. Hi, frog. Oh, frog, you're so cute. I just think you're the best. Okay? Ready? And oh, but don't. So look, this is what I want you to do. That was good. That was really, really good. So now you're working with your bow speed, right? This. Feel that contact? So I really want to feel this being the same. I cheat. I go. It's that feel, and look, it's, oh, okay, I can do that. That's easy. But if you had to try and do that for every single bow, for every single measure, and if you had to meet your darling frog, and just think, oh, froggy, you always have to pet the frog, right? And say hi to froggy, which is just right here. If you always had to meet the frog, you would notice a huge difference. And as you meet the frog, think, rest the arm into there. Instead of pushing this way, above, go into. And into feels very different than above, right? So can we try just the first measure? I want you to, the first line. Jane, will you play? And this the whole time, I'm going to help you, but I want you to think about how that's bending, okay? Try it out for size. See how it goes. Relax. Hi, Froggy. I know, my students, they're probably like, you're the biggest dork. And I am. I'm a total dork, but I can't help it. I'm sorry. It's born that way. Okay, ready? Relax, relax. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. As I push your elbow, adjust the weight into the hand. Big up. Don't let the weight lift. Let it go into the string. So here's what I feel every time. Emmy, you're like, oh man, you're too close for comfort. I know. But not this idea, because do you feel like everything wants to go off, kind of like helium? Treat your bow not like it wants to go off, but that it wants to always fall into. So can you have that idea of always wanting to fall into? It feels weird because it's like, I don't do this normally. This is very awkward. But it's a really great thing because if this idea, this is something, of course, see, I'm trying to make everything applicable to common practice for everybody, right? But it's a game changer. And for when pieces like this that require just this huge amount of beautiful tone, we never really pay attention to what happens when we get to the frog. We think about it, but we don't really pay attention to it. And every time you have to say, okay, am I going up to the frog? And am I going into the frog? Or am I going up to the frog just, I'm playing the frog and then I go, right? Am I rushing to the frog and then hurrying past? What's the idea there? So let's try this one more time. I won't bug you this time, I promise. And I want you to really think about how you're going every up bow. And remember, instead of wanting the body to go away from the string, I want you to go into the string. Okay? And it's okay if it gets crunchy. Go into the string every time. Don't lift the weight. Keep it straight down. Relax. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how you felt about it, but the connection made so much more sense to me when I heard it. Does that make sense? And because you already played it so well, it's really pretty, it's really beautiful. And that was just like, there were a couple of things, but that was the main thing. Is I was like, oh man, if she would just feel more connected to the string near the frog, this is a game changer. And I think always when you're practicing, just love that frog, right? Just be a lover of the frog, not a hater. And you'll find that it will be your best friend at the end of the day. Frogs make excellent friends. Okay, you didn't know it, but now you do. Okay, but Emily, Emmy, you did a great job today. Okay, all right, good. All right, I'll stop talking.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Fernando. I'm going to play the Andante from Bach's Sonata No. 2.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, so when, how long have you been working on this piece?
A month and a half, couple months.
Couple of months? What the heck? This is an intimidating piece.
Last week.
Oh, yeah. I started 2 days ago. Okay. Okay, so tell me, how have you approached this piece? Like steps of practicing or method of practicing this?
So doctors had me just kind of
Good, so you had everything as a double stop.
everything else was stop.
Yeah, okay.
The string, and
Good.
then you threw curveballs at me.
Curveballs such as, i.e.
Then like, you know, like.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, good. No, that's actually wonderful because that's part of what I was thinking about. I was thinking about a few things, okay? First of all, I wanted to just look at a couple of things, okay? When you approach your chords, okay, every time you have a chord and you don't, so this is what, one step. So the double stop practicing is excellent. That's definitely what I would have done for sure. Then the next step is, because you have to do this pulse and this continually wah, wah, right? And very much the same. What I noticed, okay, is this left hand. Now, you have a wonderful ring. Your ring, have you talked about your ring, your hand making a ring around your violin? Okay, well, Fernando, will you come stand here, please? Okay. So, all right, no, hold your violin. Good. Yeah, Fernando, I'm gonna have to stretch you.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is for, I mean, because, you know, for me, I actually learn really well when I have people touch and feel, because then I can feel it and then I can recreate it. Does that make sense? So much, I'm just very much that way, and so I do it, whether people like it or not, so I apologize. So this is the only thing I noticed, is this here is always quite high. Yeah, have you ever thought about coming down a little bit more? Now, sometimes you do move a little bit more forward, but the majority of the time you're up here. Now, the only reason why that is problematic for what I'm watching, okay, is because when you play a piece like this, when you think of the left hand and what the left hand has to do playing continuous double stops and chords, how much weight needs to be there? A lot. So have you talked about the concept of hanging the arm? Yeah. And the weight, right? And like a 20-pound sack of potatoes right here hanging. So, and part of the ring creates that, yes? Now, where the sack is, so this is a ring, yeah, and because you make a beautiful little ring around the neck. And then the whole arm moves this one unit, right? You have a rod pulling a ring, okay? And a motor pulling the rod and the rod pulling the ring. See, isn't that great? Yeah, you're no longer a human, you're a robot. And that's okay, we like, and often, I was wondering if you're keeping this pretty relaxed, because that was something else I was kind of noticing. Do you ever get tense here?
If I do, I don't notice it.
You're just being macho. You're like, yeah, good. You play flexed all next to it. Okay, so sorry. I have 6 brothers. I just am a teaser. I apologize. I'll be more focused. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably do. Yeah.
Well, this is what I notice is because of that, okay, what you have to realize, you guys, when it comes to the strength of the hand, the ring is everything. Okay, now the ring creates stability. So your hand position when you have to do different chords does really well, which is wonderful. But if the ring isn't comfortable enough, especially when you're doing double stops, you have to always feel a huge amount of weight in the hanging right here, so that this feels heavy, so that the transition from double stop to double stop is actually more effortless. You would think, well, I'm adding more weight, that would make it harder to transition, but it actually makes it more seamless. So what I would do is with every step, so start the first thing. Have you ever heard of hammering the fingers? Like just playing every note, no rhythms, no slurs, nothing, just playing everything straight, like da, da, da. Have you tried this before?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Okay, well, I want you to just try this. Can you, since you don't have the music here, I can't point to anything, but can you, well, maybe, but let's just try it without, see if I can do it, okay? So I just want you to start playing the beginning, and then what I want you to do, I don't have this memorized, by the way, so I'm not really precise, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to put the finger down, finger. No rhythms. I don't know what the next one is. we go. Now, before you're allowed to move the bow, I want everything really in place. No vibrato. I just want a heavy hanging arm. Okay, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to bug you. Oh, and you don't have to do long. So let's pretend everything's just like a quarter note. I don't know. Okay, I can't. But I want you to move the finger and place it before you move the bow. Ready? Good. Now try this one more time and try to present this hanging idea. But remember, I want the fingers in place before you're allowed to move the bow. In fact, I want you to make it even more obvious to me. You're going to hammer that finger into the bow. Into the fingerboard. You're really going to solidify the fingers, put them in place. Okay? Do not let that move before. Got it? Finger first, then the bow. I want you to say this to me. Finger first, then the bow. What is that again?
Finger first, then the bow.
So if I wanted to move my bow, what would I have to do first? Perfect. Okay? All right, try it.
Pull close on.
Good. Okay? Now, I would actually do the entire piece that way.
Oh, okay.
And do you know why? Because the key is once you do that, your transitions are going to go much better from finger to finger. Because what happens is you lose the gravity or the weight in transitions sometimes because the bow is just going. The bow's like, all right, it's my turn. I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Right.
And remember, you can't play the piece until the fingers are ready to go. And in a piece like this where it's all double stops or it's all chords, you have to have absolute control of what's going on right here. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I'd like you to think about when you play. And this applies to every single thing. I mean, you should always have this ingrained in your brain. Finger first, then the bow. And you should say that all the time whenever you play. Like finger first, then bow. Because if you can break the coordination between the two and you really solidify this, then that has a much easier time doing its job. Chords. This is where I want to talk about with chords. So do you have a part where you play with chords for me? I don't have anything to point to. Yay, good. Okay, can you go into it a little bit? Play into it a little bit? Or any part where you can go into the chord? I know, I'm asking a lot.
I can't remember now.
If you want, you can grab your music if that helps.
Okay.
Okay, now when you do those chords, I want you to set the bow. Okay, what does it mean to set the bow? In place. Now, when you do up bow chord, I want you to set the bow. And then, as we talked about with Emily, right, you know the hi-ya idea. I don't necessarily need you to do that. But when you go up bow, I actually want you to finish the bow. So I want you to use an entire bow and get to the real frog. And as you do that, as you push forward, I want you to relax this down and going up. Let's see how we do on that. Oh, sorry, you got to go into it.
Yeah, I think I started up on this one too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now, good. So before you do the chord, do that one more time. Once you get to the chord, stop. Okay, try it again. Now, what I want you to do, relax here. Now, as you push, I want you to push from here, but I want you to think about the bow going, okay, go up slow. Oh, do 2 notes at a time. I know you're not supposed to, but just do it. Oh, yeah, good, half and half. So go, ba, ba. There. You can turn your bow. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn it. But go straight up in 2. Okay, try that one more time. Yeah. So lots of times when we're doing chords, I already talked about the chords. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about the chord. But when you do the down, up, you know where we have to think about moving, what we have to do with our shoulder when we do an up bow cord? What happens to our shoulder? Yeah. In fact, you have to actually almost invert and like push it against, like go inside, right? So when you do that up bow cord again, that's like an umpire face right there. You're like, okay. Yeah, but see what happens is you go up bow. Do you hear the weight on the lower strings? It's heavier, and then the upper strings you get lighter because you're actually not relaxing into the up bow. Yeah, I want you to actually go heavier as you go up. Yeah, really, seriously, do that one more time. That's so great. Yeah, and then don't let the weight lift. Actually, let it go down and yeah, one more time. Okay, now control a little bit better. So. Again. Okay, so as we talked about, since our time is almost up, the best way to approach a double stop piece like this, which is hard, is you just have to practice every double stop like you did, but you have to practice setting the fingers first. That's key to success in every double stop. Not only do you practice it, but when you solidify where your fingers go before you move them, you're going to give yourself like a huge upper hand in having absolute control. Because there's moments where it's like, uh-oh, and you lose a little bit of control, and so your sound loses the control. Okay, that's okay, but you know what? It wasn't barely noticeable. It was just still beautiful. Okay, so the idea though is really, really think about how you're approaching that, because it will solve a lot of problems. And double stops are hard, and lots of double stops are hard. I mean, that's pretty ambitious to do this. I'd be like terrified to do it. All right. Anyway, so you did great. All right, but the idea, so anchoring and really setting those fingers. And paying attention to your elbow. Your elbow likes to get away from you a little bit. And that's going to create different types of tension in your ring. And so for the ring to be really heavy and to hang, you've got to pay attention to where the elbow is. Okay? Yeah. All right, Fernando. Da 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 da. You know. Oh, me. Oh, is he the last one?
Everyone, it's such a pleasure to have Alice here. As you can tell, she's a wonderful educator, and she's a wonderful teacher. And wow, how many students do you have?
40.
Yeah, she can't go below 40 because her dad never did. I can never believe your dad.
I know.
45 students till. Does he still have that many?
No.
No, good.
He's 86.
I know, but he's still doing all state orchestra.
I know.
Yeah. So, and anyway, it's such an honor to have you here. Thanks so much for everyone. Everyone, give Alice one more.
Oh, thank you. Well, it was a real. I just want to say it was a real pleasure and a real honor, and I really appreciate it, Jeremy. I mean, it's really intimidating to go into a colleague's studio and be like, all right, here we go. So I appreciate you putting up with me as well. And you can take it or leave it. Don't worry. I don't feel bad. But thank you, all of you. Thanks. Okay. I know.
I know.
And the grand prize winner.
The grand prize winner. Goodbye, everyone. And